In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to make some scale models of the terrestrial planets using the laser cutter. Now, these models might be a little bit small, so I've got a little special technique to use to walk you through this. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to get one of the special graph papers that I printed out. It's got a 6mm grid. You can also go online. They've got a lot of graph paper generators that'll let you make any grid that you want. We're going to use a 6mm grid, and I'll show you why at the end of the video. The next thing is, once you have that graph paper, you need to look at the calculations of scale that you made already on your handout. So with that, I want you to find the planet that you've been assigned, and you're going to take the planet and take your size, the scale size in millimeters, and multiply it by 4. Now I'm going to walk through a sample where I just made one up. Let's say that your scale planet is 13 millimeters. I'm going to multiply that by 4, and that gets me 52 millimeters. Work with that number for a little bit. It'll make a little bit more sense at the end of the video as to why we're doing this. Next, what I want you to do is we are going to draw a circle that is this size on your graph paper grid. So here I want to draw a 26mm radius or 52mm diameter circle, and here's my circle. You're going to draw it on there with the center in the center of one of the boxes. So once you have your circle and it is 26mm across in radius, or whatever your appropriate size is, remember you take your scale size, multiply it by 4, and that is the diameter of the circle that you want to make. So here's your circle. Then we need to do a little bit of marking. So these red lines on here, I want you to use a pencil on your paper to go ahead and make lines in the same style. It doesn't have to be red, it can be any color, but basically what is to look at where the circle intersects each row. So here the circle intersects the row right here. Here is another row line and it intersects right here. And we look around the edge of the circle and we draw these lines in for each one. On the top half of the circle, we're starting at the top and drawing down. At the bottom half, we're looking at these rows and drawing up. So here's a row line where it intersects, draw up. So you go ahead and mark your circle up with these lines. Next, we want to measure the distance across the row. So between the two red lines. So take a ruler and measure and record this. So I've made a little data table here, and I'm going to go ahead and measure this value. So if this value is about 6 millimeters, I'll go ahead and enter that in. And then if this value is about, I'm just guessing, 30 millimeters, I'll enter that in. So go ahead and enter in the values, or record on your data table the value for each one. And then once you have all the values, and your circle may have fewer than 10 rows, that's fine, could have more than 10. Just use the number of lines that you need. Then divide this number by 4. So this is 1.5. Alright, 30. 4 is 7.5. And continue that for each row that you have. And you'll take those numbers into Tinkercad. So go ahead and make sure that you've logged into Tinkercad, and we'll create a new design. And Tinkercad comes up with some pretty creative names for their designs. We're going to give it a name that's a little bit more informative. So go ahead into the Design tab, and we're going to go into Properties, and we are going to change the name of this. We'll name it with our last name and dash and the name of the planet. So I'm making up my own planet. You guys have the real planets in our solar system. Romary Planet Q. Save changes. So we're almost there. The first thing that we're going to do is we're doing stuff to size. And when we have a particular size or a scale, I like to pull the ruler out. That makes it nice and easy. and we're just going to make discs of the appropriate size. So pull out a cylinder, change the height to 5 millimeters, and then we're going to change the length and width to match what we did on our table here. Now I'll give you a little hint that 1.5 is going to be too small to conduct or to create. We can either leave that one off if you have that one that is this small, or you could go with one that's about 3 millimeters. I wouldn't go any smaller than 3 millimeters. It's just not going to work on the laser cutter. Even 3 millimeters is kind of a stretch. So for the first one, we'll just do 3 millimeters by 3 millimeters. And then we want to create the second one here. So the second one is 7.5. So let's go ahead and zoom in so we get a better look at this, and create the next one. Change the height to 5 millimeters again, and the length to 7.5 and the width to 7.5. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and repeat that process and make a circle for each one of your layers. So I've got half of them done because we can just copy the other ones because they're identical. But before we do that, we want to put holes in the middle. The holes we're going to use to keep everything together and make it one piece. So let's go ahead and grab a cylinder and change the height to 5 millimeters, and the length and the width to 1.5 millimeters. And we're going to change it to a hole. And now we want to make copies and center the hole in each one. So let's press Command D to make a copy. And once you've made your copies, you may want to use the arrow key to go ahead and move the copy around, because it's kind of hard when the objects are small. It's kind of hard to grab it without grabbing a handle. So we'll go ahead and just put one up about where we're going to need it. And let's do this again, Command D, and get another one up here, and put it up about where we're going to need it, and repeat this for each one. So once you have a hole about in the center of each one, let's go ahead and take a look from the top here, and let's select everything, and we want to align the center. So let's go to Adjust, Align. Let's align everything in the middle. Alright, now we want to take each one of these and align it in the middle. And each one of these. So we go through for each one of these and make sure that our holes are in the center for each one. Alright, so we can move these out of the way so you get a better view, and let's just zoom in on this just to get a better view. Select it, align, get it in the center, and select these, and again one more time, make sure everything's all aligned in the center. Now let's take these four, let's move this over a little bit closer over here, and we need 2 of each of these. We only need 1 of this, right? This is our middle biggest piece. This is the 12 millimeter one. Yours will be a different size. But let's get the one where we need 2 of them, and let's go ahead and make sure that we select just those, and let's go ahead and group them. And once they're grouped, you should see the holes coming through. There are the holes. And then let's go ahead and duplicate that. Command D. And now we have the bottom ones. And then let's make sure these are grouped. And these are the discs that we need cut out on the laser cutter. So the next step to do is to prep these for the laser cutter. And let's take a box out and let's change the height of the box to, let's say, 3 millimeters tall, and use the handles to drag the box so that it's just bigger. You don't want it a lot bigger, you want it just bigger than all of your pieces. All right, and bring that over there. Okay, so next thing is we want to change all these pieces to holes. So we can select each one of these, and since we group them together, it's going to be a little bit easier. We'll change these all to holes. And then once those come through and it processes, then we're going to want to select everything and group it. And that was the last step that we need to do in our designing. So here's what we need to send to the laser cutter. And in order to take this to the laser cutter, we need to download the file. So we go to Design, and we select Download for 3D Printing. And there's an option here, the SVG option. We click that, and that's Download for Laser Cutting. And once that's done, it should come up here, and you can show this in the Finder, and you can drag it on your desktop. But there's a link up on the board that I'm going to show you that I want you to put to so I can easily get it to the laser cutter. And then let me know, and we'll set it up and get it cut.